Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily television news show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 10 million views. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBTQ community. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It's Tuesday, March 25th, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we'll tell here this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us to support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 10,000 LGBTQ stories. We will produce the 25th anniversary of our Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival on June 14th. We present Pride Fete in August and Pride Fort Lauderdale in February. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leader anchors will host this show to support the LGBT community. Let's meet today's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Now let's welcome anchor Jeff Oliverio. He's a financial advisor and certified financial planner with Truist Wealth in Fort Lauderdale. Jeff is one of the founders and president of the Hollywood LGBTQ Council. Jeff, Miami Beach Pride Festival brings Wonderland magic on April 5th and 6th. Tell me what's happening.
Yep, very exciting. The Miami Beach Pride Festival returns to Loomis Park on April 5th and 6th, starting at noon daily. As the grand finale of the Miami Beach Pride, this 2-day celebration features multiple stages catering to diverse interests. This year's theme, Welcome to Wonderland, promises a vibrant and immersive experience for attendees. While additional event details are yet to be announced, the festival is expected to showcase live performances, drag shows, community booths, and interactive experiences. Miami Beach Pride, known for its inclusive and celebratory atmosphere, brings together LGBTQ+ individuals and allies for a weekend of unity, joy, and entertainment. For the latest updates, visit miamibeachpride.com. This is exciting. It's one of the largest in not only South Florida, but in the country. And it's not just a 2-day event, it's a week of events.
Yes.
So, and there's a lot going on in Miami Beach. I think the lead up week, there's a lot of fun events. Friday night, there's a
film festival
festivals. I know you have some good news to share about it as well.
Well, you know, for several years now, Lambda Living has been hosting the Senior Lounge for those more experienced Pride goers, if you know what I mean. And this year we're partnering with Sage, and we'll have a space specifically for older LGBT folks. You know, it's hot out there. There's not always shade, and you can get overheated. So we have a wonderful space there that's a larger booth size. It's got comfortable seating, free non-alcoholic beverages, some healthy snacks. So,
Nice.
you know, if you need to get out of the sun and you're feeling a little bit of heat stroke coming on, please come in and drop by the booth.
Well, first, I just want to say how glad I am that the theme is Welcome to Wonderland and not Welcome to Oz, because I'm so tired of all the wicked wackiness. That said, the 5 years that my husband Rick and I have had the privilege of riding on the Legacy Couples Float in the Miami Beach Pride Parade have been the most delightful. Everything about the festival, from the manageable parade length to the fest in Loomis Park, to the people from all walks of life celebrating, makes this truly one of the highlights of the year. Bravo.
Yes, it's wonderful. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing, and Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Miami Beach Pride Festival on April 5th and 6th. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro. He's an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. Gregg, Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida performs at Temple Sinai Yom HaShoah Remembrance event on April 23rd. Tell me what's happening.
I will. On April 23rd, Temple Sinai of Hollywood and Temple Bethel will hold a community-wide Yom HaShoah Holocaust Remembrance event. The evening begins at 6:15 p.m. with a photo gallery exhibition, followed by the main program at 7 p.m. The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida will perform, adding depth to the solemn occasion. A candlelighting ceremony will honor Holocaust survivors and their descendants, ensuring their stories endure. A key discussion, education or indoctrination, the teenage helpers of Auschwitz, will explore young people's roles in history's darkest chapter. The evening concludes with cookies and conversation, offering attendees a space for reflection. This free, in-person event provides an opportunity for remembrance, education, and unity. For more details, visit GMCSF.org. I truly admire the way that the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is making appearances and performing at so many significant events here in the region. I think it's really impressive. And with the current state of the world, it's more important than ever to observe Holocaust Remembrance Day. Remember, very important word,
Yes.
Known as Yom HaShoah.
Yeah, I think it's great also, again, to align a lot of organizations and causes
Yes.
with intersectionality. I mean, obviously, talking of the Holocaust, there is a storyline to tell around what happened to LGBTQ people during the Holocaust as well. Temple and Bethel has supported Hollywood Pride since the first year, so we're really happy to have them, you know, part of it, and they've made a commitment to that. So I think it's important, you know, that we put ourselves in different spaces also, and try to show up and support. So this sounds like a great event.
And of course, you know, the Holocaust Remembrance event is a recognition of what happened. And there are some parallels to how that began and maybe what's happening here. I mean, of course, at Jewish Community Services, we are very aware of the rise in anti-Semitism. And I can also say we are also not supportive of all of the innocent Palestinians who are dying. I think that definitely needs to be said, but we can never forget. If you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely.
So that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Temple Sinai Yom HaShoah Remembrance event on April 23rd.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Cindy Brown. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party for Care Resource. She is the programs director for the Lambda Living program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride. Cindy, Layla screens at Rooftop Cinema Club South Beach on March 30th. Tell me what's happening.
Well, exciting. Talking about Pride extending into a week. This is part of the Miami Beach Pride Week. On March 30th, Layla, the acclaimed closing night film of the 16th Annual Outshine Film Festival Fall Edition, which took place last October, will screen at Rooftop Cinema Club South Beach. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the film starts at 7 on Screen 1. Rooftop is known for its stunning open-air setting and offers a unique viewing experience under the Miami sky. Layla, a celebrated LGBTQ+ film, captivated festival audience with its poignant storytelling. Tickets start at $22, inviting moviegoers to enjoy an evening of cinema and community. For more details, visit outshinefilm.com. And, Outshine is, we're seeing them all over the place, and their new model for the film festivals being hybrid Miami and Fort Lauderdale instead of spring Miami and fall Fort Lauderdale. So every October and every April, you can see great LGBTQ films both in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, I think too, we were just talking at Miami Beach Pride of having all of these events, and there is something for everyone. So if you're not into going to a festival on the beach with loud music and you want to support Miami Beach Pride, go see a movie and sit on the rooftop. And it is one of the best places I can think of anywhere to watch a movie. It's an amazing venue, and support Outshine. If we don't support that festival and the theaters that are showing those films, we're not going to have a space to see them.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Rooftop Cinema Club South Beach for Layla on March 30th.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Cindy Brown, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Hotspot celebrates 40 years with a special Miami Beach Pride edition. Hotspots is celebrating 40 years with a special winter edition coming this Thursday. The magazine is part of Hotspots Happening Out, the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media group in America. This new Hotspots issue is a special Miami Beach Pride edition with a special feature dedicated to the Pride celebration, including the expanded programming and exciting festival editions. The new issue comes with exciting features, such as the one by Chris Azzopardi, where he sat down with comedian Margaret Cho and talked about her new anthem for trans youth, gay pop worship, and her Republican bottom muse. In another feature, Shane Gallagher talks to Miles Fallon, a well-known adult entertainment star. You don't want to miss the feature on the 42nd Annual Miami Film Festival with an LGBT lineup, which starts from April 3rd through April 13th. Don't forget to read about a feature on Pride Drag Brunch on June 1st. And for the queer adventurous souls, don't miss the feature on a new nonprofit, Out Scuba, which aims to unite LGBTQ divers to explore the underwater world and connect with like-minded adventurers. Scott Holland has written a must-read feature as One Magical Weekend is purchased by Pineapple Healthcare. Scott sat down with Ethan Suarez, CEO of Pineapple Healthcare, to find out more about it. And photography enthusiasts must read a feature on self-image photography with Howard Zucker. And of course, you can read popular features like Deep Inside Hollywood by Romeo San Vicente and Out with Scott and What's Hot by Scott Holland. Grab your free copy of Hotspots magazine on stands on Thursday, March 27th, or you might miss all the fun. I just love how much stuff is going on. And it's important to have a magazine that presents stories that are interesting to us. And I do have to say, I'm a scuba diver. So Out Scuba, sounds very interesting to me, and I definitely want to check that out.
That's the one in the water, right?
That's the one under the water.
Well, I also had the pleasure of interviewing the amazing Margaret Cho for several of my outlets, including El South Florida, and she never fails to amaze. She's so great, and I'm looking forward to seeing her here at the Parker
And she's
in May.
such a nice person.
Seriously, the person you see on stage
It's her.
is very different than the person you see.
Yeah, but she's very nice.
Private. She's
oh
a
yeah,
sweetheart.
yeah.
The person
very,
on stage,
very nice. Yes.
she's got a pouty mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell it's peak season here in South Florida because the amount of events that are chalked up in hotspots right now, it's probably, it'll keep you very busy. So grab your copy now.
Yeah, and I think that in terms of South Florida, the entire year is season.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's always stuff going on. Now, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Jeff Oliverio, and let's queer up the USA view. Deported gay asylum seeker faces torture in El Salvador. A gay Venezuelan asylum seeker was recently deported from the United States to an El Salvadorian prison notorious for torture without due process. The man, a makeup artist, was among 260 Venezuelans accused by the administration of being linked to Tren de Aragua, a terrorist group. However, Venezuela's interior minister denies any of the deportees are members. The gay man's lawyer, Lindsay Tozalowski, said on MSNBC's The Rachel Maddow Show, quote, "These are not the tattoos of somebody who is involved with gangs. These are normal tattoos that you would see on anybody at a coffee shop anywhere in the United States or in Venezuela," end quote. She also warns that her client is at risk. Despite a judge questioning the legal basis for his removal, ICE refuses to facilitate communication or make him available for further proceedings. The deportation allows the administration's revocation of asylum status for 530,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, exposing them to deportation under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. Federal Judge James Boasberg ruled that even undocumented individuals deserve individual hearings, but the administration has defied court orders. Photojournalist Philip Halsinger described the scenes as deportees arrived, quote, "One young man sobbed, 'I'm not a gang member. I'm gay. I'm a barber,' end quote. Prison guards shaved their heads, stripped them naked, and crammed 80 men into a single barren cell. Human Rights Watch calls the facility filthy and disease-ridden, yet deportations continue. You know, I saw the story when it went live on Rachel Maddow, and the attorney had made the decision at that moment to actually share the photo of the person who was deported. And I just, again, I had a moment where it just sent chills because, you know, you can hear in theory what it means to have due process and why we have that system in place. And, you know, and until you see we have to tell more of these stories of what's happening to people. Yeah. And like, again, this person had an attorney and had someone to tell their story, but think of all the people that don't have that and how many other people are going to be impacted. And you know, the treading on your rights and the rights of, again, you have to give the rights to those who are least deserving in some capacity. Exactly. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope and you're next. And that's the path we're on. And it's very scary.
It is very scary. And, you know, even the people that were accused of being Nazis got more due process than any of these folks. And we're not at war. So this is a war thing that has only been invoked during a war.
Absolutely.
Congressionally declared war. And it really is scary because they're not allowing people to prove who they are. I heard a story, and fortunately, this woman was not detained or deported, but she was pulled over, Hispanic, born in the United States, by the way, and they told her, "Let me see your passport." How many people travel with their passport? Right. And there are on driver's license, if you notice now, there's a little star up in the corner that says USA.
Yeah.
So those driver's license can be shown as an ID, but some of these officials, or I won't even call them officials, the
Agents.
people they've empowered to disappear folks off the street, are making up their own rules. And they're, people can literally tell them, no, I'm here legally. I'm not a member of this gang. Or I've lived in the United States. I was born here.
They don't care.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And then once they're there in El Salvador, it's virtually impossible to get any kind of representation, any kinds of hearings. And it scares the hell out of me because, Jeff, it is a slippery slope.
Slippery slope.
And the deportations continue, and yet Nazi salute throwing Leon scum is still on U.S. soil. Aren't we lucky? The story really is like something out of a horror movie, but it's not a movie. It's actually happening.
Yeah.
And that's really frightening.
God forbid they want to target the LGBT community next.
Yeah.
And they'll pile us all on planes, and I hope they send us to a private island, because they'll make that island will become the best island in the world. But it's scary, and we as Americans should be safe and secure in our homeland, and yeah.
Well, the person in question in the story, Andres is his
He's
name.
going through the process.
Yeah, so, if there's any way that this story gets out to anyone, family or friends, I know there's lots of members of our community here that are pulling for you and sending you lots of strength and prayers and well wishes to survive this terrible.
Absolutely. It is horrible. And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up drag culture. Federal judge blocks Texas A&M drag ban. Show will go on. Texas A&M University students won a major victory Monday as a federal judge ruled that their annual Draggieland performance could proceed despite the university's attempt to cancel it. U.S. District Judge Lee H. Rosenthal, appointed by President George H.W. Bush, ruled that the Texas A&M Queer Empowerment Council was likely to prove the university's drag ban violated the First Amendment. The ruling came after Texas A&M's Board of Regents voted in February to ban drag performances across its 11 campuses. The board justified the move by claiming drag shows can create a hostile environment for women, echoing language from Trump's recent executive order on gender ideology. But free speech advocates pushed back. Draggieland will take place this Thursday.
Yay.
You've got to love that a U.S. District Judge named Rosenthal, appointed by President George H.W. Bush, was the one ruling that the Texas A&M Queer Empowerment Council was likely to prove university's drag ban violated the First Amendment. Must set the blood of those rednecks boiling to even at an institution of book learning.
The fact that our courts are even tied up with these BS cases, and we're spending valuable resources that could go into so many other places to actually help people and protect women or protect whoever. It's a travesty, and it's using the courts as a show for culture wars, and it's I can only imagine that America is going to get exhausted by this, because
you would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope.
Well, I just, the fact that they say that drag hurts women is ludicrous. And let me tell you, go to any drag show and what do you see? Bridal showers.
Yeah, that's right.
Women going there in
Bachelorette
droves.
parties.
Bachelorette parties, yeah.
I mean, as a matter of fact, too many of them.
Exactly, yeah. They're
Scale it back
filled.
a little.
You know, I went to our house for brunch maybe a month ago, and there were literally 4 groups of women where someone was getting married.
Yeah.
And if women were offended by it or hurt by it,
They wouldn't be.
we wouldn't be out there in the audience laughing and cheering
And
these
tipping.
drag queens. Oh yeah, and tipping, throwing the dollar bills. But you know, it is a form of artistic expression. These are performers, just like the band Kiss. They don't look like that in real life. They put on the makeup. They're performers. And people enjoy watching them. That's all it's about.
I mean, our vice
Performers.
president puts on eyeliner.
He
So,
sure does.
I mean, is there anything wrong with that?
No, not at all.
Just checking.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And like you said, Jeff, you know, we need to focus on things that are really important instead of these stupid, crazy culture wars that only, you know, cost the government money and hurt people that shouldn't be hurt.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Cindy Brown, and let's queer up the world view. Namibia swears in first female president. Country's LGBTQ community hopes for better future. March 21st marked a historic milestone for Namibia as Netumbo Nandi Naditwa was sworn in as the country's first female president. After winning a resounding victory in last November's election, Nandi Datitwa pledged to uphold the rights of all Namibians and work towards shared prosperity. She said, quote, "The task facing me as the 5th president of the Republic of Namibia is to preserve the gains of our independence on all fronts and to assure that the unfinished agenda of economic and social advancement of our people is carried forward with vigor and determination to bring about shared balance and prosperity for all." Her speech, however, comes as LGBTQ Namibians face rising legal threats. In 2023, MP Jerry Akanjo introduced bills that sought to criminalize same-sex marriages, even if performed legally outside Namibia. The bills failed to pass, but a separate law, the Marriage Act of 2024, now bans same-sex unions and imposes penalties of up to 4 years in prison or a $1,000 fine for violators. Meanwhile, last July, Namibia's High Court struck down colonial-era sodomy laws, a move hailed as a victory for LGBTQ rights. Activists now await Nandi Naditwa's action on equality, as Namibia's LGBT community remains in legal uncertainty. You know, when we see stories like this coming out of countries that you would expect to be horribly misogynist and horribly homophobic, it's really a breath of fresh air to see that they've elected, first of all, a woman.
For sure.
Correct.
And a woman who has a commitment to having equity for all people.
All people.
Yeah,
What a
imagine that.
Imagine that.
Refreshing.
You know, when the tide rises, all ships also rise, and that's how she feels. And I only wish that the powers that be in this country felt the same way.
Yeah, it certainly makes us look like the former beacon of progress that we once were here in the United States when
Yes.
we're seeing things like you said, a woman elected to lead a country, or putting the rights of all of the members of your country in equal standing.
Right.
It is not only refreshing, but it's kind of the basis of how the United States was founded.
Of course.
Hopefully we'll return to those tenets one day.
Salad days.
Yes.
She certainly has her work cut out for her, and I sincerely hope that she's up to the task and that she treats Namibia's LGBTQ community with respect and kindness.
Yeah. And the entire community with respect and kindness. I think that the world is missing that.
Yeah.
The world is really missing it. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Jeff Oliverio, and let's queer up the USA view. Lesbian penguin Green Bean charms the internet. A penguin at Kentucky's Newport Aquarium is capturing hearts online after a viral TikTok video showcased her adorable display of affection for her partner. The penguin, named Green Bean, was seen bringing a toy ball to her nesting partner, Randy. When the ball rolled away, she quickly chased after it, determined to add it to their nest. The video, set to Chappell Roan's song The Giver, sparked joy among viewers. The TikToker captioned it, quote, "We have never been more thankful for a penguin than we were for Green Bean," end quote. One commenter joked, "It's against nature," before adding, "Meanwhile, nature." Another claimed to be an aquarium employee and confirmed, quote, "They are very much in love." Green Bean isn't new to fame. She previously appeared on local news and even displayed her artwork in 2017. Now she's melting hearts as the internet's favorite sapphic penguin. You know, It wasn't shocking to imagine a lesbian penguin moving items into the other penguin's nest.
That's what we do.
The U-Haul.
They're so good at
U-Haul to be
it.
found.
Even the penguins.
Although I am
penguins,
not
they're
a
just
good-
like us.
I'm not a good lesbian when it comes to that. But nature.
Yeah,
Hello.
indeed. This must really disturb disgraced former Rowan County, Kentucky county clerk and fashion icon Kim Davis.
Right.
I couldn't be happier for the penguin pair, and I hope someone brings Randy and Green Bean a casserole to celebrate their union.
Or bakes them a cake.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. A penguin,
a
cake of
bakery
fish.
that will allow
A fish cake.
cakes
Krill.
for queer people. Yes.
Right.
Queer marriages.
It's refreshing to have a feel-good story, but we're talking about penguins.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about humans, and it's really sad that
Maybe we can
there is
learn.
so much
We
suffering.
can learn from the penguins.
We absolutely can. And
Even in Kentucky.
that's what I was going to say. Kentucky, I don't know how the Kentuckians feel about this. And,
They're more worried about their bourbon being tariffed.
yeah, well, that is another big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA view. Trump official mocks a queer federal judge over trans military ruling. Trump's defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, is lashing out at federal judge Ana Reyes after she blocked Trump's ban on transgender military service. Last week, Judge Reyes, the first openly LGBTQ district court judge in Washington, ruled that the executive order banning transgender troops was unabashedly demeaning and amounted to sex-based discrimination. She stated, quote, "The military ban is dripping with pretext. Its language is unabashedly demeaning. Its policy stigmatizes transgender persons as inherently unfit, and its conclusions bear no relation to fact," end quote. On Monday, Hegseth, a vocal critic of diversity and inclusion in the military, took to social media, sarcastically calling Reyes Commander Reyes and suggesting she report for military duty. He also mocked her credentials, implying she lacked the expertise to make decisions on military readiness. Trump's military ban has already triggered multiple lawsuits, with plaintiffs arguing it violates the Fifth Amendment. Meanwhile, rising tensions between Trump's administration and the federal judiciary have led to safety concerns, with Trump and his allies attacking judges who challenge his policy. Would someone please pour Pete Hegseth a drink? He looks like he'd enjoy some absinthe with a Jägermeister chaser, perhaps.
Well, listen, I think that we're looking at Pete Hegseth and today certainly attacking transgender people in the military
is not his biggest problem.
Is not his biggest problem. He might want to consult with somebody, a security official, about ways to communicate more securely about national secrets and not using third-party applications that could risk the lives of everyone in the military and their safety. So he should resign. So should several of the people that were included in that, including the chief of staff to the president and our award-winning vice president, who was included on that chat, who, if you don't know, is the president or vice president that you shouldn't be using off-channel communication, then you shouldn't be leading a company, a country, or anything else.
Yeah, and the fact that he is calling transgender troops a threat to military readiness.
He's the threat.
He's the threat. And, we are very lucky that we have judges that are standing up to him. And it's disgusting that these officials are getting death threats. I mean, the country was set up with 3 separate but equal branches of government. The judiciary has just as much power as the president, that has just as much power as Congress, so that no one branch can run roughshod over all of the our laws. And the fact that once again they're targeting some of the most vulnerable people. These people are ready and willing to fight, but they're using them as a scapegoat. And it's, I think it really is important if we want to look at our national security. It's not the transgendered service members that we should be worried about. It's absolutely these people in leadership positions who aren't taking their positions seriously and abiding by the rule of law. If our cabinet members can't abide by the rule of law, how can you expect the citizenry to abide by the rule of law?
Absolutely.
Well, and he surrounded himself with people as unfit as he is, Trump. So
yeah, I mean, it's a sad day for this country. I mean, I think there have been a lot of sad days for this country in the past couple of months, but
unfortunately,
we are going to stand up and fight for our trans friends and family, and they in turn will fight for us and our country.
And let's just be thankful that we had Joe Biden to appoint and did such an amazing job during his 4 years of appointing judges, because it is the only thing that's keeping us from the ledge of tyranny, and having all of these, because again, Congress is not one of the equal branches of government at present, because they're going along with everything he said. So 2/3 are really against a lot of the tenets of democracy. So thank goodness for the judiciary.
And a lot of the decisions coming out of the judiciary are from justices appointed by Republican administrations. And, George H.W. Bush is rolling over in his grave. And it's
I think we should call them not Republican or Democratic administrations. We should call them Democratic administrations, because we don't have a Democratic administration currently.
Right.
And the other,
Right.
and previously,
Yeah.
whether it was George H.W. Bush or Obama or Biden or Clinton or whoever appointed these judges, they kind of did agree on the Constitution.
Sure.
Right.
That was the-
Today, we're not in that
can't
same
even-
agreement.
right.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's a very different culture that or environment that we're in when we're discussing the judges that, I mean, thinking about who Trump may appoint when he's filling judge, open positions is a scary thought.
Supreme Court
Right.
is terrifying.
Yes, the Supreme
Yeah,
Court, we
well,
already know.
John Roberts has come out. He's the Supreme
Justice.
Supreme.
Yeah.
And he has come out in opposition to a lot of things that this administration has pushed through, and that's gratifying. And because the Supreme Court justices are appointed for life, they're not subject to the whims of any administration.
Correct.
So, it really, I even remember that there were a couple of decisions that Brett Kavanaugh sided on the right side.
Yeah. Well,
And so, like Clinton said, even a broken clock is right twice a day. But I think that some of these issues, even justices that were appointed by this current administration, whether it was in this administration or the last administration, are, well, he hasn't done anything yet, this
Not yet.
administration. But they are looking at the law.
you
Yeah.
hope so, but
Because,
that's what they're supposed to.
they have ruled surprisingly.
And they don't have to get
On a number
elected,
of
which you're,
issues.
like
Right.
you're saying. They
Exactly.
don't have to
They're
worry
not-
about being elected, and they don't have to worry about Trump coming back, because
Right. This is
hopefully,
Oh,
let's not go there.
whoa.
yeah, the midterms are sooner, and I believe we're going to see a big shift
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
in Congress at the midterms, and hopefully we'll get our country back. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ and ally community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Cindy Brown, and on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Jeff Oliverio and Gregg Shapiro, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we hope you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, and be transformative and queer. Good night.
Good night.